this is a particular time in history. And as I was listening to these young brothers, both named Justin, express themselves today, yesterday, I said, man, we get to watch in real time how people emerge. Because I imagine there was a young man named Martin Luther King that nobody knew who he was, right? Ella Baker was like, we need a voice for this movement that we are. Ella Baker, by the way, household name should be, in the lab figuring out who should be leading the charge, who should be the voice of this. And she plucked a young minister from Atlanta, at his church is in Atlanta, Ebenezer Baptist Church, and said, you, sir, will be. And he was like, I ain't really, I got this church with my daddy, my mom, I ain't really. It's like, no, step into your purpose.
Yeah.
So I'm sure when both of the I call them Justins, the Tennessee Three, and Representative Johnson, Gloria, who sounds like she might have some melanin in her throat. She got melanin in her spirit, okay? Because melanin ain't about your skin tone, all right? Because there's a lot of unmelanated people out there that got the melanin, okay? Gloria Johnson, Justin Jones, and Justin Pearson, when they made a decision to stand with children, because you were on when there was the violence that we talked about, the violence that happened, the school shooting, and they stood with these children to say, this is not what we should be doing. We should not be putting our babies at risk. Talk about that. Did you know these three, the Tennessee Three, before?
I tell you, I knew the names, but loosely. Like, I'll be like, let me keep it 100. Like, we don't know everybody in every district. We probably should be better at that, but I didn't as much. But let me say this about being somebody who lives in Nashville, Tennessee, and when the shooting went down at Covenant, it's right by a place I kick it at all the time. There's a cheesecake factory that I was at last night that's down the street. All right. Like, I know this place well. It's by the theater that I go to. Listen, one of the most frustrating things, Karen, for me, is when I started hearing these politicians and people on TV and talking heads saying, it's different when it's in your backyard, or I can't believe that it's come to my backyard, or can you believe that it's in our backyard? And I found myself screaming from my soul going, America is just one big backyard now, people. Like, nobody should be surprised when this comes to where you are, because sadly, until we do something, this is coming for you. This isn't a matter of, oh my gosh, can you believe it came to Nashville? Yes, I can believe it came to Nashville. Because America is one big backyard just full of guns right now. And sadly, when it comes to you, it becomes a different kind of empathy. When you start to find yourself getting text messages going, my sister was in that building. It suddenly goes away from just being a random person. So then because I'll tell you what happened in the midst of the world looking at Nashville, the Trump indictment happened, right? And I put out something on social media that just simply said, listen, the news media is about to change. The news cycle is about to shift. You know who it's not going to shift for? The parents who haven't buried their kids yet. So now everybody's going to be talking about this Trump indictment, and there's still families over here who are burying their children, and we're going to be on to the next thing until this thing happens again. When it happens in your city, we don't have the privilege to just move on to the next cycle. So forgive me that I sound obviously a bit passionate about it, but this is my place, man. And so, of course, and I'll tell you, I think the Tennessee Three even feel this way, which we'll get to kind of have some conversation about it too. I'll tell you what they did not want this to be about: race. They didn't want this to be about a white woman getting off and two black. They didn't want this to be about that. They wanted this to be about their constituents and these young people who are literally fighting for their lives and are getting treated like they do not exist. And I feel that in my soul.
For the folk that have no idea what is happening, let me give you the context. And Tyler Merritt is, of course, in the epicenter in Tennessee. But there was a school shooting, And then there were protests. Children walked out, and these three, Justin Pearson, Gloria Johnson, and Justin Jones, stood with the young people. They protested with the young people. They were out there with the young people. And this caused a backlash from the Tennessee state legislature to sanction them and then call for their removal for what they called knowingly, this is what the charge was, knowingly and intentionally bringing disorder and dishonor, because it happened in their state house, generally engaging in disorderly and disruptive conduct. This was what in the bill is HR 63, excuse me, HR 65. That was the bill that was sponsored by a man named Bud Hulsey to remove Jones, Pearson, and Johnson. HR 65 said that they were knowingly and intentionally bringing disorder and dishonor to their body politic, and also generally engaging in disorderly and disruptive conduct, which resulted in proceedings being shut down. So they could not continue because of the children joined by the three, now known as the Tennessee Three. That's going to be in the history books, by the way. Protesters were at the Capitol voicing their outrage over this school shooting that left 6 dead, right? So that happened. So Bud Hulsey, by the way, for those of you who don't know, he's 73 years old. He was born in 1950. He was born the year that apartheid was created in South Africa. Just to give you some perspective on Bud Hulsey. 4 years later, Brown versus the Board of Ed was passed, but of course it was not adopted in Tennessee until maybe 2 decades later. That's another story for another day. 64, Tennessee, 1964. So Bud Hulsey was 14 years old when Tennessee elected its first Black state legislator. His name was A.W. Willis Jr. 2 years later, the first Black woman, Dr. Dorothy Brown, because we have to be super extra educated to even listen any kind of she won a seat in that same, so that 7 HBCUs are in Tennessee, by the way, including Fisk-Meharry, which produces more doctors, Black doctors, than any place outside of Cuba. I say that. Tennessee State is there. The bill, HR 65, was co-sponsored by somebody named Gino Bulso and also Johnny Garrett, and it passed last night, 72-25. We saw first Justin Jones get booted, and then followed by Justin Pearson, and then somehow Gloria Johnson did not. So I hope she joins us today. She was invited. She said it's on her calendar. I'm not sure if she comes. If she doesn't, that's okay, because everybody's pulling on her and she doesn't really know what the Karen Hunter show is. So she might think that CNN is going to be more advantageous to her to be on than the Karen Hunter show. I hope not. I hope not for her. She's going to be fine whether she's on the show or not. So let me just say we support her whether she comes on or not. She said she would come. I hope she comes. Also removed, but we have a bunch of Justin Pearson clips as well. He was born, and I want to spend some time with him. But before we spend some time with State Representative Justin Pearson, who gave a speech following his expulsion, and he gave several other speeches as well that I'm going to play throughout the show, because I think he sounds like somebody to me. He sounds like somebody. All right, so let's play following his expulsion from the Tennessee State House. Let's play Justin Pearson.
Yes, I tell you, it was a sad day on Saturday. All hope seemed to be lost. Representatives were thrown out of the State House. Democracy seemed to be at its end. Seemed like the NRA and gun lobbyists might win. But that was good news for us. I don't know how long this Saturday in the state of Tennessee might last, but we have good news, folks. We've got good news that Sunday always comes. Resurrection is a promise, and it is a prophecy. It's a prophecy that came out of the cotton fields. It's a prophecy that came out of the lynching tree. It's a prophecy that still lives in each and every one of us in order to make the state of Tennessee the place that it ought to be. And so I've still got hope, because I know we are still here and we will never quit.
Who he sound like? Tyler Merritt?
MLK. And he also has a little bit of a mix of a little bit of Malcolm in him too, man. Like there's
yes.
Let
me just say this. The people love Kobe Bryant, right? I'm gonna use basketball because I love basketball.
Yeah.
They love Kobe Bryant. Kobe Bryant spent countless hours studying the greatest of all time, Michael Jordan. You can see it in his game,
Yep.
every single aspect, but he also wanted to be better, right? And so because he's competitive and a Virgo. So when you watch Kobe Bryant, some people hate him for it, but you couldn't beat him. He's gonna drop 80 points on you. He's gonna punch you in your face if you get too crazy. He even went back and learned how to box because he was getting jacked up. When I look at Justin Pearson, who is 20, I think he's 26 years old.
Something like that. A baby.
26. When I look, no, he is a man, because Martin was around the same age. And this is what I'm saying, right? Today, we are abdicating maturity. Well, they're just 20 something and their brains are fully formed.
Sure.
No. Martin was in his 20s when he came into that position. Malcolm was in his 20s when he rose into power in the Nation of Islam. And Muhammad Ali was in his 20s. And we have to expect more, but when they step in that gap like that, we got to also support them. We gotta be the elevators to make sure that their paths are everything. Okay, Justin Pearson is 29. I think the other Justin is 27 or 26. But these young people are everything. And as I was listening to him, I was like, he has studied Martin and Malcolm. He came in because I remember Dr. Carr and I had a conversation about the Afro. He showed up to the state legislature with an Afro, and people were already upset. All right, I'm gonna give you his background. His daddy's a preacher, his mother's a teacher. When he was 11, yes,
obviously, yeah.
When he was 11, the family moved to DC because his father was getting a master's at Howard University. So he moved the family across town, across the country, up and over. 4 years later, they came back to Memphis. And he was shocked at the differences in how his Centerville High School in Virginia was so much better than the one in Memphis, in inner city Memphis, where he went to Mitchell High School. And his high school in Virginia was underfunded. But he became active. He lobbied for textbooks. He didn't just sit in the class and say, oh, well, they're not teaching us. He became active, taking AP classes, of course, lobbied for textbooks, joined the debate team. He was the valedictorian of his high school class. In 2017, he graduated from Bowdoin. How do you say that? Bowdoin?
Yeah.
I know, it's horrible. Brunswick, Maine. He majored in government and legal studies, minored in education. He also was a Mellon Mays Fellow. He was accepted to several programs at Princeton, and he was an environmentalist. He's out there. He founded a whole group in his early 20s, the Memphis Community Against Pollution group. So again, you don't have to sit on your ass bitching about stuff. Get up and do something. This young man is doing it. He ran for this seat that was held by Barbara Cooper because she passed away at the age of 93. She made transition October of 2022. Seat was open. And she was actually reelected after she died. People was like, nah, y'all we're going to do what we're going to do with Biden. Anyway, 74% of the vote she got, even though she was no longer with us. And so the seat was still open. He ran in a 10-person primary and won. Okay. Unanimously appointed, sworn in. He just got into office. Just got in. The second youngest lawmaker behind the other Justin. And so this is who Justin Pearson is.
You know how they talk about success is a measure, success is a mixture of like hard work and kind of luck all coming together or whatever, or preparation. I have to say, man, if preparation was a person, this would be this man. Preparation coming together in the right moment. Talk about being ready for your moment. Being ready for that time when the world's going to go and look at you. And there was no way he could have saw that the whole world was going to be looking at him yesterday. But when I tell you that they both stepped up to the microphone like they were born for this, when I say that they're babies, I literally mean that in a numbers ways. And I'm not trying to take away from them, but I say that in the sense of all the life that they continue, God willing, that they have to continue to live. Meaning, I remember when I was 26, 29 years old, and I thought that I knew everything in the world. And I look back now and go, I knew exactly what I needed to know right then. But now at this age, I look back and go, thank God I have so many more years to continue to grow. I am excited for what these young people are going to be in the future. And I was going to say this, depending on if we get Gloria or not, but I think this is important for everybody to hear right now. And if you are driving along and you feel this hesitancy in your heart because you think to yourself, oh my gosh, I don't know what's going to happen to the United States, hear me when I tell you this. I have watched enough Marvel movies. I have watched enough DC comic movies. I recognize a superhero origin story when I see it. Y'all, we are in the midst of a superhero origin story with the Tennessee 3, and we're living it in real time. So do not fear. Be hopeful, because the leaders of the future are being born right in front of our eyes, and it is wildly exciting. It's going to be in our history books. This is who they are.